Good morning, folks. Welcome to Awakening Israel. It is the 30th of January, Monday morning. Time 4:33 in the morning. I guess I'm a little late to work. For those of you who've been patiently waiting, I've been waiting too. And now I don't have any patience because after reading these passages last night and with everything else that I've gotten for inputs and all else that's going on, I feel a sense of urgency and I don't have any patience anymore. So, greetings. I am Dr. John Taylor Kent, or what's left of him after all these years. And you've tuned in to Awakening Israel. The purpose of this show is to awaken our brothers and sisters in Israel. According to Pastor Jerry Wickey, that was the most important job to do in the world. I sometimes wonder if there might not be something more important, especially as we address each other here. I received a strike from YouTube and wasn't allowed to upload for a week. And my numbering of these videos, my organization is rather tenuous. So I used my main channel, which is Dr. John Taylor Kent, and that is Giving Psychology Away, the Dr. Kent Show. And I continued on with letters A through J. Probably covered K too. But I don't remember it very well, and a friend of mine's wife said show K was the best of those. So that's over on the, I don't know what to call it, the psychology side rather than the psychology side here. You see, psychology means the study of the soul. Most psychologists don't know that, but you know more than they do right now. And if you tuned into my show, if you're tuned into this channel, you definitely know better than they do. We're going to be pursuing, and I'm going to be renumbering the shows. I'm going to try to populate both channels and keep this channel, the scriptural, the Bible studies. The studies are always going to be from the same version of the Bible, and that is the proper name version of the King James Bible. And this is a recent publication, especially as far as Bibles go. We are looking at a copyright date of it's by Name Publishers out of Addison, Michigan. Initial copyright was 2015, and the second copyright is 2019. I believe that the first copyright is on the work itself. The second copyright is on the print, if you will, itself. I have 5 different formats of this Bible for sale. That's how you support me and my show. Somebody made a donation through the publisher, but what I ask of you, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to turn down, I'm not going to turn down gifts. I'm not in a position where I can afford to turn down much of anything, and I can't even turn down food that I know is not the best thing on my plate at this point. I don't think any of us can do that, or if we can, we're not going to be able to do that much longer. Lorraine, get your bone. She's going to drop it down the stale well again. She's got a habit of that. I hope she doesn't do it right away. I want her to be occupied with that bone for a bit. She's still got the collar of shame on. She's healing up better. We see the vet again today. The vet gets to run my bill up. She did a real good job of that on Friday. I wasn't expecting that high of a bill. So I'm going to I'll work on that. That's a whole separate matter. But she's doing better. I think I'm doing better as well. I'm not sleeping all that well. But I feel pretty good overall. As far as my energy and my projects, those are getting a little too scattered, so I got to rein in my jets, cool my jets a little bit more. And so what we are going to do is we're going to go right to the scriptures on this show, and I'm going to proceed to try to give you something from the Bible on this channel from here forward. And I'm also going to populate the other channel and cover more of we're going to cover more geological events. We're going to cover still going to be a lot of biblical stuff over there, but I want to cover the Word and focus on that with this channel. So, Daniel, I opened up the Bible last night. I have not been reading very much lately. I have to admit it. I did start a Bible study and attended that yesterday morning, and my sleep has been off kilter, so I fell asleep during that. But don't tell those folks back there. I know one of them tunes in here, but oh well. I can think of worse things to fall asleep to. I'll put it that way. We were in the book of John, which has always been my favorite book in the Bible. Why the book of John? Well, I went by the name, my middle name in my family and most of my life, early life. But I started to read the book of John because I liked the way it started. And I realized as a musician that all life is frequency. All life begins as vibration, as energy. And the book of John opens up and says that rather well. At least I think so. And we'll get to that. Not today. Daniel 9, and I can't pronounce all of these words very well because I don't read the Bible aloud that much. I need to read it aloud more. I think that when I do that, it opens up in a different way, and I don't want to internalize it too much, and I want to treat it concrete for the most part. And I think we're going to go all the way to the end of Daniel 9 right now. 9:1. In the first year of Darius, the son of Ahasuerus, of the seed of the Medes, Darius was a Mede, which was made king over the realm of the Chaldeans. I think the Medes joined forces with the Israelites and maybe installed this fellow. In the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by books the number of the years whereof the word of Yahweh came to Jeremiah the prophet, that he would accomplish 70 years in the desolations of Jerusalem. The 70-year diaspora, 70 years in captivity. And I set my face unto the Lord God to seek by prayer and supplications with fasting and sackcloth and ashes. And I prayed unto Yahweh my God and made my confession and said, O Lord, the great and dreadful God, keeping the covenant and mercy to them that love him and to them that keep his commandments, we have sinned and have committed iniquity and have done wickedly and have rebelled, even by departing from your precepts and from your judgments. Neither have we listened to your servants the prophets, which spoke in your name to our kings, our princes, and our fathers, and to all the people of the land. O Lord, righteousness belongs to you, but to us confusion of faces. As at this day, to the men of Judah and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem and to all Israel that are near and that are far off, through all the countries where you have driven them because of their trespass that they have trespassed against you. O Lord, to us belong confusion of face, to our kings, to our princes, and to our fathers, because we have sinned against you. Okay, pause right there. We have confusion, but to us confusion of faces, verse 7, and then verse 8, confusion of face. I used to think that meant some other things, but I did a little bit of research. I thought it might have been problems with identity, problems with understanding who they are. But it turns out that looking at this, the typical accepted version of this is people don't know which ethics, which morality to follow. They don't know which one to go with. And now this is important because face, fascists. And if you look at those old Greek plays, the dramas had two different faces, one laughter and one sad. And if you look at the symbols that rule over our Congress, there's bundles of rods with an axe in it, okay? Those stand for fascist. That's the government that's behind our government. It's been screwed up for quite a while. Remember, it's the rule of man, the law of man. And we're better off by going under Yahweh's law. So confusion of face means our kings, our princes, our leaders, our fathers. Nobody knows which morality, which ethics to follow. And if that doesn't describe America today, I don't know what does. And you have to understand the underlying principles behind, because the fasces, the faces, the deception, the rule over, it's all connected at this point. So let's continue with this. I used to think confusion of face might have been that they were mixed peoples, perhaps. I thought of it that way. I know it. At this point, I hold on to that gingerly. But it's in the back of my mind. I share all this stuff with you. I want you to understand my flexibility in my thinking, and I want you to understand the errors of my thinking, too, so you can do better than I. You have to become 10 times better than I am. You have to become greater at understanding this, and I don't think it's real hard to do that. If I had to do it over again, I would have done it in the original languages if I had the time for that. But I'm not in the last half of my life. I'm in the last quarter of it. Okay, continuing, verse 10. Neither have we obeyed the voice of Yahweh our God to walk in his laws, which we set before us by his servants the prophets. Yes, all Israel has transgressed your law, even by departing that they might not obey your voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of God, because we have sinned against him. So you go to Deuteronomy, Leviticus, and Deuteronomy, and you find the curses there for disobedience to the Ten Commandments. You also find the blessings there. 12. And he has confirmed his words which he spoke against us and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil. For under the whole heaven has not been done as has been done upon Jerusalem. As it is written in the law of Moses, all this evil has come upon us, yet made we not our prayer before Yahweh our God, that we might turn from our iniquities and understand your truth. Like America today, we haven't turned from it yet. We haven't supplicated yet. We haven't called upon his name. And I think if we do, we're going to end up with a period of judges, which is what we need. Verse 14. Therefore has Yahweh watched upon this evil and brought it upon us. For Yahweh our God is righteous in all his works which he does, for we obeyed not his voice. And now, O Lord our God, that have brought your people forth out of the land of Egypt with a mighty hand, and have gotten you renown, as of this day we have sinned, we have done wickedly. O Lord, according to all your righteousness, I beseech you, let your anger and your fury be turned away from your city Jerusalem, your holy mountain, because of our sins, and for the iniquities of our fathers. Jerusalem and your people have become a reproach to all that are about us. Now therefore, O our God, hear the prayer of your servant and his supplications, and cause your face to shine upon your sanctuary that is desolate, for the Lord's sake. O my God, incline your ear and hear, open your eyes, and behold our desolations, and the city which is called by your name. For we do not present our supplications before you for our righteousness, but for your great mercies. O Lord, hear. O Lord, forgive. O Lord, listen and do. Defer not. For your own sake, O my God, for your city and your people are called by your name. And while I was speaking and praying and confessing my sin and the sin of my people Israel, and presenting my supplication before Yahweh my God for the holy mountain of my God, yes, while I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, touched me about the time of the evening oblation. And he informed me and talked to me and said, O Daniel, I have now come forth to give you skill and understanding. At the beginning of your supplications, the commandment came forth, and I have come to show you, for you are greatly beloved. Therefore, understand the matter and consider the vision. 70 weeks are determined upon your people and upon your holy city, to finish the transgressions, and make an end of sins, and to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem to the Messiah, the Prince shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublesome times. Going to rebuild the temple. Verse 26. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And for the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood. And to the end of the war desolations are determined. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. And for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation. And trust determined shall be poured upon the desolate. Flood jumps off the page at me. I underlined it in my Bible, my version here. I mark up my Bible. I study it. I recommend you do the same. There's too much here to be learned. You need to feel free to write in it. It's not a holy book. You are the holy ones. The law has to be etched upon your hearts, which means you study this. And the heart refers to the mind, I believe. This stands out to me because we have the flood of Noah, in which God's not supposed to, promises not to destroy the earth by a flood again. Well, I don't think that's absolute. And I think we've got a flood coming. That's the vision, that's the nightmare that plagued me when I was a little boy of age 7 over in Heidelberg, Germany. And I had night terrors from it because I was caught up in a mud flood, water flood, earth flood, and rolled and lost any sense of myself in that. It was horrible. I'd wake up and cry, and my mom would come in with a warm washcloth, wash my face, and try to console me. And we have the number 70 coming up again. Daniel chapter 10. I'm forgetting to say something that I just... Oh, okay. In the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, and the overspreading of abominations. We go to the abomination of desolation. It's in the apocryphal books in 1 Maccabees. 1 Maccabees has got what a lot of people refer to as the first Christmas day, or the tradition for it, December 25th. That's a horrible mess. And before that, we have the abomination of desolation. And I'm bringing that up because it doesn't line up with the end of this book and the figures given to me. Maybe I'll sort it out now. Maybe you've got some tips and you can tell me. Help me out, okay? But basically, what you had was they had a ruler over Jerusalem. I cannot remember his name off the top of my head, but he sacrificed a pig on the altar of the temple. And he called an end to all of the traditions, all of the other religions, and he set up his own religion, and he banned all of the religions, especially the faith of our fathers, from the practice in Jerusalem. And that was when and that happened probably around 250 BC. I'm just taking a guess. It happened before the Maccabean Wars, as far as I can tell. So he basically made it illegal for them to practice their faith, and the first Christmas day was for the practice of circumcision, and he went after the circumcised babies and their mothers in that. I'm not going to get into that more right now. Daniel 10. In the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a thing was revealed to Daniel, whose name was called Belteshazzar, and the thing was true. But the time appointed was long, and he understood the thing and had understanding of the vision. In those days, I, Daniel, was mourning 3 full weeks. I ate no pleasant bread, Neither came flesh nor wine to my mouth, neither did I anoint myself at all, till 3 weeks were fulfilled. And in the 24th day of the first month, as I was by the side of the great river, which is Hiddekel, I underline that because I don't know where that river is just yet. And remember, this is the 24th day of the first month. Then I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with fine gold of Uphaz, and his body also was like beryl, and his face was as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like in color to polished brass, and the voice of his words like the voice of a multitude. And I, Daniel, alone saw the vision. For the men that were with me saw not the vision, but a great quaking fell upon them, so that they fled to hide themselves. Therefore I was left alone, and I saw the great vision, and there remained no strength in me. For my comeliness was turned in me into corruption, and I retained no strength. Yet heard I the voice of his words, and when I heard the voice of his words, there was a deep sleep on my face, and my face toward the ground. And behold, a hand touched me, which set me upon my knees and upon the palms of my hands, and said to me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak to you, and stand upright, for to you am I now sent. And when he had spoken this word to me, I stood trembling. Then he said to me, Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that you did set your heart to understand and to chasten yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come for your words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. But lo, Michael, one of your chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia. Now I have come to make you understand what shall befall your people in the latter days. For yet the vision is for many days. And when he had spoken such words to me, I set my face toward the ground, and I became numb. And behold, one like the likeness of the sons of man touched my lips. Then I opened my mouth and spoke, and said to him that stood before me, O my Lord, by the vision my sorrows are turned upon me, and I have retained no strength. For how can the servant of this my Lord talk with this my Lord? For as for me, now there remains no strength in me, neither is there breath left in me. Then there came again and touched me one like the appearance of a man, and he strengthened me, and said, O man, greatly beloved, fear not. Peace be unto you. Be strong, yes, be strong. And when he had spoken to me, I was strengthened, and said, Let my Lord speak, for you have strengthened me. I want to back up 1 second here. We have an example set by Daniel. This is how I like to mind the little details. Because here in verse 12, Daniel chapter 10, from the first day that you set your heart to understand and to chasten yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come for them. So this is what Daniel did that brought this to him. So, let my Lord speak, for you have strengthened me. Verse 20, and said he, Know you why I come to you? And now will I return to fight with the prince of Persia, and when I have gone forth, lo, the prince of Greece shall come. Prince of Persia, okay. Babylon, the prince of Greece, Alexander the Great. I have underlined these. You got answers for me? Put them in the comments. Verse 21, But I will show you that which is noted in the scripture of truth, and there is none that holds with me in these things, but Michael your prince. Michael was also the archangel who defends Israel. And I'm talking Israel, the people, not that fake country over there, that little postage stamp of a country formed under the great sin of the Rothschilds, in which they brought about the world wars in order to get that country established. And they stole it from the Palestinians, and they got it through terrorism and by murdering a lot of people. Daniel 11. Also, I, in the first year of Darius the Mede, even I, stood to confirm and to strengthen him. Daniel standing by Darius, who's a Mede, ruling over the Babylonians, the Chaldeans. And now I will show you the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia, and the 4th will be far richer than they all. And by his strength, through his riches, he shall stir up all against the realm of Greece. This is kind of important. You see, the house of Israel was taken into captivity by the Assyrians after 3 or 4 excursions and military intrusions, and they were relocated. They were taken out of the country and settled between the Assyrians and the Medes to protect the Assyrians from the Medes. And at this point, I believe we have a little bit of evidence. And what I'm thinking and what I've heard is that the Israelites joined forces with the Medes and took down Babylon. So this is the beginning of the alliance, if you will. And you have to remember that Daniel was hauled off with the house of Judah by the Babylonians. They went into the country 3 times down there. They attacked Jerusalem twice. In the middle incursion, the angel destroyed 185,000 of the Babylonians. We do think that was one of those worldwide events that are in the geological record that actually caused that. It really happened quite literally. So the angel of the Lord, the way this is all set up. Okay, now, 3 kings in Persia. I don't know who they are. If you know, great. But it could be that the 3 beast systems coming out of there, and the 4th would be far richer than the others. That's probably Alexander the Great. Okay, because he has to come forth. So hopefully we're going to tie in, and you're going to want to go to the apocryphal books. He shall stir up all against the realm of Greece, and a mighty king shall stand up, that shall rule with great domination, and do according to his will. And when he shall stand up, his kingdom shall be broken, and shall be divided towards the 4 winds of heaven. 4 generals of Alexander, Ptolemy being the one over the Egyptian area. It's the one I remember the most, because Ptolemy rewrote the Bible for us and translated it into Greek, and took out the name of Yahweh and substituted the generic term God all the way through it, which makes it more confusing. That's the advantage of my Bible over all the previous Bibles that you've had access to, in the English language anyway. And so this is better than the original King James edition. It's more accurate, and you got Yahweh's name. In order to obey that first commandment, don't you think you need to know Yahweh's name? I think so. And in order to trigger another day of the judges, you need to appeal to him in his name, like at the end of Genesis chapter 4, and then began men to call upon the name of Yahweh. That's where the name first occurs, I believe. So I could be wrong. If you find another place, let me know in the comments. And when he shall stand up, so he barely conquered the world, and he got a fever and got sick and died. His kingdom shall be broken. His 4 generals took it over. He had no heirs. And shall be divided towards the 4 winds of heaven, and not to his posterity. He had no heirs. Nor according to his dominion which he ruled. Nobody could measure up to what the Macedonian did. For his kingdom shall be plucked up, even for others besides those. It's going to be destroyed further, broken up further. And the king of the south shall be strong, Ptolemy, and one of his princes, and he shall be strong above him, and have dominant dominion. His dominion shall be a great dominion. And in the end of years they shall join themselves together. For the king's daughter of the south shall come to the king of the north to make an agreement. But she shall not retain the power of the arm, neither shall he stand nor his arm, but she shall be given up, and they that brought her, and he that begot her, and he that strengthened her, in these times. All will be given up. And out of a branch of her roots shall one stand in his estate, which shall come with an army, and shall enter into the fortress of the king of the north, and shall deal against him, and shall prevail. And shall also carry captives into Egypt their gods, with their princes, and with their precious vessels of silver and of gold. And he shall continue more years than the king of the north. So the king of the south shall come into his kingdom, and shall return into his own land. But his son shall be stirred up, and shall assemble a multitude of great forces, and one shall certainly come and overflow and pass through. Then shall he return and be stirred up, even to his fortress. And the king of the south shall be moved with bitterness, and shall come forth and fight with him, even with the king of the north. And he shall set forth a great multitude, and the multitude shall be given into his hand. And when he has taken away the multitude, his heart shall be lifted up, and he shall cast down many 10,000s, but shall not be strengthened by it. No gain from that war. For the king of the north shall return, and shall set forth a multitude greater than the former, and shall certainly come after certain years with a great army and with much riches. And in those times there shall many stand up against the king of the south, and also the robbers of your people. That phrase stood out to me. Shall exalt themselves to establish the vision, but they shall fail. So the king of the north shall come and cast up a mount, and take the most fenced cities. And the arms of the south shall not withstand, neither his chosen people, neither shall they bring any strength to withstand. But he that comes against him shall do according to his own will, and none shall stand before him. And he shall stand in the glorious land, which by his hand shall be consumed. And he shall set forth his face to enter with the strength of his whole kingdom, and the upright ones with him. Thus shall he do, and he shall give him the daughter of woman, corrupting her, but she shall not stand on his side, neither be for him. And this shall he turn his face to the isles, and shall take many. But a prince for his own behalf shall cause the reproach offered by him to cease. Without his own reproach he shall cause it to burn upon him. Then he shall turn his face toward the fort of his own land, but he shall stumble and fall, and not be found. Then shall stand up in his estate a raiser of taxes in the glory of the kingdom. But within a few days he shall be destroyed, neither in anger nor in battle. I want to point out right now that this passage sounds like this is what occurred before they went into captivity, but it's not. It's what came afterwards. Okay, and the robbers of your people. We need to point that out, because who were the robbers? Well, I think that might have been Esau, the Edomites. I'm not sure. What do you think? Put your ideas down below. Who do you think the king of the north is? Who do you think the king of the south is? And remember, they make a union based upon marriage, and they lose everything on that. All bets are off on that. Is that to the future, or is it to the past, or is it to both the future for Daniel, which is past us, and to the future of us? I think we've got two different things going on here, and I think some of this comes. Okay. And he shall turn his face to the isles, and shall take many. All right. We were driven to the Isles, the British Isles, and the rest of the lands around the world. Daniel 21. And his state shall stand up a vile, and in his state shall stand up a vile person, to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom, but he shall come in peaceably and obtain the kingdom by flatteries. And with the arms of a flood shall they be overflowed from before him, and shall be broken, yes, also the prince of the covenant. And after the league made with him, he shall work deceitfully, for he shall come up and shall become strong with a small people. He shall enter peaceably even upon the fattest places of the province, and he shall do that which his fathers have not done, nor his fathers' fathers. He shall scatter among them the prey and the spoil and riches. Yes, and he shall forecast his devices against the strongholds, even for a time. And he shall stir up his power and his courage against the king of the south with a great army. And the king of the south shall be stirred up to battle with a great and mighty army. But he shall not stand, for they shall forecast devices against him. Yes, they that feed of the portion of his meat shall destroy him, and his army shall overflow, and many shall fall down slain. And both these kings' hearts shall be to do mischief, and they shall speak lies at one table, but it shall not prosper, for yet the end shall be at the time appointed. Then shall he return into his land with great riches, and his heart shall be against the holy covenant, and he shall do exploits, and return to his own land. At the time appointed he shall return, and come toward the south, but it shall not be as the former, or as the latter. For the ships of Chittim shall come against him, therefore he shall be grieved, and return, and have indignation against the holy covenant. So shall he do. He shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. This could be describing this conflict in the Ukraine, and of course the kingdom of the north. The king of the north would be Mr. Putin, Vladimir Putin, and the king of the south, well, Vladimir as well. His name Zelensky. Daniel 11:31. An arm shall stand up on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that makes desolate. When that fellow just before the Maccabean revolt decided to desecrate the temple, sacrificing a swine, a pig on the altar, and made it ruled that all previous traditions were null and void. They couldn't practice the faith of their fathers. He went after the mothers who had circumcised their boys and killed all of them. So he made it illegal for them to practice their faith, something that mirrors what's been going on in our day and age as well. Continuing, 32. And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. By the people they do know their God, that do know their God but the people that do know their God shall be strong and do exploits. And they shall understand among the people, shall instruct many. Yet they shall fall by the sword and by flame, by captivity and by spoil many days. Now when they shall fall, they shall be helped with a little help, but many shall cling to them with flatteries. And some of them of understanding shall fall, to try them, and to purge, and to make them white, even to the time of the end. But it is yet a time appointed. And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation is accomplished, for that is determined shall be done. Neither shall he regard the God of their fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any god, for he shall magnify himself above all. And in his estate shall he honor the God of forces, and a God whom his fathers knew not shall he honor with gold and silver and with precious stones and pleasant things. Some of you folks know the name, and I can't come up with it. And this is what happens later that's in the apocryphal books. The guy's got a kind of a long name. If you know it, please put it in the comments so the rest of everybody will know who they're referring to. But this refers us to the abomination of desolation, when they stopped the daily sacrifices and the oblations, all that other stuff, which came after they built this other temple, and just before the Edomites, the Idumeans, this people at Mount Seir were mainstreamed into the Israelite population, which threw things off. And of course, that was in 143 BC when John Hyrcanus won the Maccabean revolt. And it only took a century and a half, and then your governor for Israel at that point was Herod the Great, the Idumean, the Edomite. He was in charge then. You know, the guy that ordered the killing of all the babies, the male children in Bethlehem, age 2 and below. That was also prophesied probably before Daniel. Isaiah did that. Okay. So, honor the God of forces stands out. But in his estate shall he honor the God of forces. So basically the God of war. And a God whom his fathers knew not shall he honor with gold and silver and with precious stones and pleasant things. If we were to say that there was another God in America today, it would be the God of war. It would have to be that. Look at the little statues on top of your capitals, your incorporated capitals that are not organic, your state capitals, and you will see who it is that rules over your country. You will not recognize those beings that are up there. It's important that you look at those and know what's there, and which direction they face too is important. Thus shall he do in the most strongholds with a strange God, whom he shall acknowledge and increase with glory, and he shall cause them to rule over many, and shall divide the land for gain. Sounds like our world today. That's what we've been doing for the bankers. Okay, continue verse 40. And at the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots, and with horsemen, and with many ships, and he shall enter into the countries, and shall overflow and pass over. He shall enter also into the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown, but these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom, Moab, and the chief of the children of Ammon. He shall stretch forth his hand also upon the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape. But he shall have power over the treasures of gold and of silver, and over all the precious things of Egypt, and the Libyans and the Ethiopians shall be at his steps. But tidings out of the east and out of the north shall trouble him. Therefore he shall go forth with a great fury to destroy, and utterly to make away many. And he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas and the glorious holy mountain. Yet he shall come to his end, and none shall help him. Daniel 12, final chapter. I got a lot marked up in here. What I want you to help me out with is these days do not line up with the days that we are approaching at this point. And I know somebody out there is going to have the understanding and be able to put this together. You know, there's nothing more I enjoy than talking about the truth that's in the Bible, what's actually in here. And of course it says, you know, when two are gathered in my name, he's going to be there, the Spirit. Well, that's what we want to do. We sit by ourselves, we read our Bibles, we get together and we talk about it, we respect each other, we brainstorm, we allow the wildest ideas to flow, and from that we'll learn from each other and we will figure things out. The Spirit will bless us. If you seek understanding, it'll be given to you. It was given to Daniel. Look at what Daniel produced for us. Okay, I'll try not to interrupt too much more here. And at that time shall Michael, the archangel, stand up, the great prince which stands for the children of your people, to this day, by the way. And there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time your people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book of life. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. And if you want to know the order for those who die and don't make it, you want to go to 2 Esdras, and we have to avoid the Latin Vulgate version, which was the original King James version, because it doesn't have 70 verses in it that are important. That's why I want the publisher to focus on giving us the best, most modern version possible of the apocryphal books. And then you also have the order for those who make it. And that's important for you to read as well and understand. And then after the week that they're being able to see all their rewards, then they go take their place to rest, sleep in the dust of the earth until the time that we arise, until the time of the judgment. And they that are wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. But you, O Daniel, shut up the words, and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood other two, the one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river. And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, How long shall it be to the end of these wonders? And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand to heaven, and swore by him that lives forever, that it shall be for a time, times, and a half. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. I don't like that, scattering the power of the holy people. It means it gets a little worse. Verse 8, And I heard, but I understood not. Then I said, O my Lord, what shall be the end of these things? And he said, Go your way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end. Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. And from the time of that day the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that makes desolate set up. There shall be 1,290 days, about 3.5 years. Blessed is he that waits, and comes to the 1,335 days, about 2 more months. But go your way till the end is, for you shall rest and stand in your lot at the end of your days. Wow. Okay, here's where I'm at. The abomination of desolation occurred before the Maccabean revolt. I'm just taking a guess that it was somewhere around 250 BC, 200 BC. I don't know. If you've got a better idea down there, put it down and share it with us. God, do that. Come on. And if you can figure things out, do it. I can't take the time to do it on these because other people would tune right out. So, Daniel starts this whole thing off. And he documents the beast system for us. But there was another prophet that's here in the Bible, but he's not in the section of the prophets. His name was Ezra. His buddy was Nehemiah. So you have the book of Nehemiah and the book of Ezra. Ezra actually did a fantastic amount of work. And when we go to the apocryphal books, we have one Esdras and two Esdras. Esdras is a Latinized form of the name Ezra. And the vision continues. Daniel's vision is continued in Ezra. And the Protestants removed those books from the Bible. And I know that there's something to be argued about them. And I must assert, as my brother Rex advised me, it was good advice. Rex Smith told me, focus on the Bible. It's the most important part. And I have to agree with that. These books are the most important ones. However, there are 36 references of other books mentioned here in these pages. And those are important as well. We might call them secondary, but nonetheless they're ahead of other things, other works. So you want to be able to get the apocryphal books. You can get the little red book. It's just the Apocrypha, the King James Version, and you will find it does not have all the verses. It doesn't have enough in there, and the sources may be the problem. One of the books says its source was the Latin Vulgate, meaning the Latin that was meant for the people, whereas the high priest, if you will, were going to keep the High Latin, the one with all the details, to themselves. And so we need the apocryphal books. There's important things for us to learn. Yes, there's some things that seem rather trivial, and there are some things that seem to contradict what's in the main Bible proper. But I think they help us in our flexibility of thinking, and they help us to understand. You will find in 2 Esdras 11 in particular, the great eagle with 3 heads. I used to think that was the United States, and I was panicking at the time because it gets burned from one end to the other. And the way I read it sounded like the feathers were going to get burned off the old buzzard. Well, those 3 heads are definitely the 3 heads of the beast today. Guess which cities those are, those independent little states that are screwing with the rest of the world. And guess what's prophesied? You need to go to that and you need to read that. You need to look that up. You need to understand that that is the culmination of the beast system. And in a certain sense, we can blame ourselves and we can say that we're living in it. Well, it's across the whole planet today. It is massive. It is huge. Even J. Edgar Hoover said that it was so big and so evil that no man could comprehend it at all. And Woodrow Wilson said it was so big and so powerful that no man dare utter a word against it under his breath, because they were everywhere. They've been running game on us for thousands of years. Eustace Mullen said for 3,000 years they've been censoring the literature to hide their presence. Yes, they've been here for a long time. And the folks that come out of the Pacific Island area, the place where one of the continents sunk before, probably maybe the last Earth age or the previous one. I'm going to guess that was either 12,000 or 24,000 years ago. That continent and those peoples, that's where the Phoenicians came from. And that's where the language came from. It's rooted in Polynesia. I think those people survived the earth change and the rebirth of the earth at the end of the earth age in their ships. That's my guess. And if you look at the different traditions surrounding, and including the tradition in Alaska, you will find all that stuff integrates really well. I mean, you need to look at that stuff. It's just marvelous. You also need to realize that if we look at the book of Revelations, that at the end, John says he looked and there was no more sea. The seas disappear. They are gone. That's his future vision. What happens to the seas? Well, all that land gets revealed. So those who survive into that next age, this rebirth of the earth, which is going to be really violent for most of us, those who survive are going to hopefully be able to go through those old ruins and see things and technologies that we don't even know about. They were far more advanced than we are today. It looks like Atlantis was actually in the Sahara Desert today. The ruins for it, if you will, are there. You have to remember that the Sahara Desert was really green at one time, really lush. At one time, the entire planet was covered in trees. They were choking out all other life. It was called the coniferous era. And during that time, I mean, there were trees everywhere, and the trees are in the bottom of some of these deep, cold lakes. So we know that. The geological record is important. It gives witness to the whole thing and to the great clock and the cycles that we are living in. Now, there's another book I'll bring to your attention. It was by Chan Thomas. Chan was his nickname. He wasn't Oriental. He was kind of, he was an odd bird. And he was what do you call those guys that built things and all that? What did my great uncle, want to become? He wanted to become an architect. Yeah. Anyway, he was an electrical engineer, I believe. And he came up with the book of Adam and Eve, in which he goes through in sort of a poetry form. I have the book. I haven't read through it. He goes through the rebirth of the earth and the stages of it, and appears as though he's right. And it's not a pretty picture for us. You will understand why mastodons are found with their cuds still in their mouths, frozen, and with their food in their bellies, frozen. They don't even have time to exhale and spit out their food. It happens that fast. So one side of the planet is going to go real cold, the other side is going to go real hot when this happens. And you talk about the day the earth stood still and the sun stood still, when Joshua was fighting, that really happened, and it has to do with the earth cycles. You talk about the Red Sea and a flood occurring, that also coincides with the doggone earth cycles. Yahweh set this thing up way in advance. These things are noted and known in advance, including that men's hearts would fail them. And you may say, well, he didn't know about this. I can't mention it. I'll get a strike if I mention their concoctions here. So I won't talk about their magic potions and stuff, okay? You know what we're not talking about. He knew that men's hearts would fail. Maybe because he knew that. But I think what it really comes down to is he knew that the magnetic field, as it weakens, it impacts us very dramatically. It impacts our limbic system, our middle brain, our emotions. It impacts our memories and all kinds of stuff. And right now the field has been weakening ever since the Carrington event, and it's speeding up at this point, and it's accelerating. And, you know, I tell people the date that I call for the end of the earth age, and people get upset with me because no man knows the hour or the time. Look, it's in the geological record. We have a fellow, and I don't remember his name. I watched the video recently. He was a Jewish fellow, and he pulled these dates by looking at the geological record and by looking at the Bible as well. And the date he pulled, he did not conclude this. I decided to adopt this as the date, October 16th. That's my guesstimate. I'm no prophet. Don't hold me to that. Don't call me a liar, doggone it. But that is the day that he says the scriptures say the heavens opened up. The floodgates of heaven opened up. Okay? So October 16th. This gentleman tells us that the year is 2046. And it happens between sometime in September to the end of December. This can occur. And so don't worry, folks. A lot of us survived this thing. You are definitely one that survived the last Earth ages. And from what I can tell, they can only go back 6 different Earth ages to really much superior civilizations with better technology than what we have today. They say that there's too much destruction for them to go back further, but I beg to differ with them. I think the reason that we can mark it out is because that's when the fallen angels arrived, from what I can tell. They arrived here after a battle in the heavens in which Michael knocked 3 of their ships out of the air and drove them to the earth. They've been on the planet, according to the teacher. He tells me that according to his fellow that he worked with 70,000 years ago. I figured out about 50,000 years ago because of the Chinese record, the oldest records on the earth. And the Chinese have in their records that the black woolly-haired ones, the Negroes, did not show up until the white devils had arrived. Now, it's important for you to realize that the Chinese were referring to the giant Caucasoids, the bad guys, the fallen angels. And they started a religion based upon that. They worship the dragon. And to this day, they go prospecting and hunting for dragon's teeth. They find these old skeletons and the old skulls, and they take the teeth out of them. I think they take it all. And they grind up the teeth, and they sell that powder on the black market. And the people that buy that are trying to keep up their fallen angelic serpent DNA. So they eat that. I think that's what happens to all the skeletons that get sent to the Smithsonian and to the major museums in New Zealand and everywhere else around the planet, especially in the English-speaking world. All those skeletons are ground up and eaten by the descendants of Cain, the cannibals, the descendants who worship Baal. And the word, what is the word for Caucasian in Chinese? Why, of course, white devil. They're referring to the people who were 7 to 9 feet tall, they had tremendous leverage, and they ate men. They dominated the face of the planet for a long time. So folks, you stayed with me to the end here. I appreciate that. Give this thing a like. Tell people I'm back alive again. I think we're going to call this show number 101, just to start a new numbering system. And I will carry on with the other channel when I can. I feel good. I feel energized. 5:30 in the morning. I do need to get a lot of work done. Feel free to pray for me. I don't want to share with you what my needs are. I hope you don't mind that. It's too complicated for me to even understand it very well. I just know that things are unfolding in a certain way, and I'm on the right track, the right course. I do know that. That I can assure you. But I can't tell you what's next. I can't prophesy. Now, of course, if a man or woman came to me and wanted a read down from me and wanted my help, that I can do. I can't help myself, though. I mean, that's one of the things that when you have this sort of facility, you can't do. And for those of you out there who like the idea of being an empath, don't like being an empath. Being empathic is no fun. And I'll tell you straight up, with all candor and all honesty, it just means bad boundaries. It means your boundaries aren't solid enough, and you're able to go places. You're able to be flexible and go places other people can't go. The problem is that they aren't all pretty places, folks, and it's kind of hard to get back from some of them. So I don't do any therapy just for my own health at this point. I don't offer therapy. You know, if somebody wanted me to help out, I would do that. I'd expect something in return for those darn services. I do not maintain records. I refuse to maintain records. My memory's kind of shot. And so I'm not even going to remember, because when I was last working, I had to open up the chart and look at it to remember the man before me and what my impressions were, because people who came to me changed. They changed fast. They made deep changes, and they did it on their own. I got to witness it. That's all it was. And I gave them honest feedback. And I did give suggestions, and they would come back to me, and wow, I was amazed. The changes that they made, I'd look at the chart, I'd read up those things that queued me up, look at them again, look at the chart, and I would allot it upon them. That's where the praise belonged. They had corrected themselves. Some of them had better impulse control. Some of them actually became halfway decent. A lot of them gave up their bad ways. We'll go into that stuff on the other channel. Yahweh bless. That's all I got for you today. Over and out.